Okay, we're going to move on to our next release here. Probably it's weird because I don't know what to call big releases anymore. So this is the main event, written by a four-man team: Larry Postel, Zach Lewis, Jim Mahoney, and Peter Horse. Or
what a name.
Not Horse. It's O'Are. Hoare. I know. I don't want to say horror. I think that's how. I don't know. Anyway, and directed by Jake Harris, who, by the way, has worked on episodes of both Parks and Recreation and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, from what I could tell from IMDb.
That's cool.
The main event is the latest WWE Studios production, having released on Netflix yesterday. Actually, when I was telling you that I was having trouble accessing my screener, it was because the movie had released already, and obviously I don't have access to the screener anymore.
Oh, okay.
Because Netflix does this weird thing where, like, I have to have a Netflix Media Center account, and they're like, it's like a whole process. But we got that figured out. All I had to do was hit the search button, and I could figure this out.
Type in the name and look it up.
And like, what I was going to start off this review by saying like the last WWE Studios movie I saw was like 12 Rounds way back in the day, like the John Cena movie.
Yeah.
Which I actually remember liking a good bit. The John Cena action movie where he has to go through like 12 rounds of. It's sort of like that Dirty Harry. If you've seen Dirty Harry, Scorpio like sends him all over the city to do all these random things, or he has to get to like telephone booths in time.
Yeah.
It's John Cena is Dirty Harry running around a city, but doing more than just going into a phone booth.
Gotcha.
But then I totally forgot about Fighting with My Family from last year.
A fantastic movie. Yeah, it was last year.
Fantastic movie, which I actually just saw for the first time here
a
couple months ago.
And
was very much surprised by that movie. And it also sort of rekindled my excitement over professional wrestling. From there, I watched The Wrestler, and from The Wrestler, I got the WWE video game borrowed from our friend, and then WWE Network. Like, I've been on a binge, and it all started with a WWE Studios production, and I can't help but feel that if the main event was the first one that I saw, that like this binge would totally would never have happened, because this movie reminds me of exactly what has happened to the WWE in the last 10 or so, like the last 5 or 10 years. It's like I remember stop watching WWE in 2013, which, believe it or not, was almost 10 years ago already.
Wild.
It's like already 7 years ago. And I'll get into it more, but like there's a shift in how things were promoted, and we'll talk about that. But anyway, the film follows this young boy named Leo, played by Seth Carr. Stereotypical nerd. Like, you'll come to find out that every character in this movie is razor thin. Leo is nerdy. He has his 2 nerdy friends with him. They're all obsessed with the WWE. Literally the first it feels like the first 5 minutes of the movie are dedicated to showing off how much WWE memorabilia he has.
He's just David.
And yeah, but like wall to wall, and then like his bed is a wrestling ring, and yeah, it's a lot, and it it's okay, right? Because my room looked like that for a bit. Like, I get it. Like, I used to have John Cena plastered all over my wall. Like, I totally get it. What you come to find out is that Leo's mother, who never shows up in the movie, abandoned his family, abandoned her family, leaving, and this has to be like the most awkward family situation I've seen in a movie in a while, leaving Leo and his dad, Steve, played by Adam Pawley, in the hands of the mother's mother, so Leo's grandmother, played by Tachina Arnold from Everybody Loves Raymond.
You mean Everybody Hates Chris?
Raymond. Chris. Yeah. Everybody Hates Chris.
Or going further back, Martin.
Right. I totally flipped the Everybody Loves, Everybody Hates. Whatever, it's fine. So, because movie, I guess, WWE announces, like, one day that they're going to hold an NXT winner-take-all. Winner becomes contracted superstar and gets $50,000, coincidentally enough, to get the father's debt out of the way. Like a free-for-all competition in a March Madness like tournament. And guess where it's hosted? Guess where it's being hosted?
Baltimore?
Right across the street, bruh.
Oh.
This kid's house in just some tiny town. It's like, wow, can you believe that it would come here? I'm like, no, I wouldn't believe that if I didn't just hear it. But so, you know, like he's an 11-year-old kid, like a tiny kid who gets beat up by these bullies, you know, razor thin bullies. Like, and then there's this teacher who's like, oh, you kids go to the principal's office again, instead of, you know, actually trying to help Leo. She's just like, go to the principal. You know, it's just like the adult figures all, except for the grandma, and we'll talk about her later. Except for the grandma, all of the adult characters are just like emotionally absent, or just like aesthetically invisible, I guess. Like I don't know how to describe them. It's like they're there. They feel like shoot, what are the video game characters that you like run into that, you know, have like the same script over and over again? NPCs. It feels like that, right? And this includes Leo's dad. Of course, like Leo's dad isn't that bad to like the same extent as some of these other characters. But his whole deal is that like he's emotionally unavailable to talk to Leo about and process both of their feelings about the mom leaving, which is low-key kind of a morbid tale. Like usually like you see like the moms, like they don't even mention the mom, like the missing mom, or they either kill them off or something, you know, like, and they're unable to process those feelings. But it's like, no, how am I supposed to tell Leo that his mom fell in love with another guy, left me, and moved to New York, and doesn't even have time to call him? It's like, wow, that is a lot, you know, especially for this kind of movie. And like, maybe like it sounds like this is the kind of movie that could handle that kind of emotional depth, but let me get to the biggest plot point, and you'll see why this makes absolutely no sense at all. One day, while chasing or running away from his bullies, you know, it's like, Billy, oh gosh, Bowers or something Bowers from It's like 3-on-1 gain up type bullying. Leo runs into an open house, runs upstairs, hides in this room that has a whole bunch of old wrestling memorabilia. And I'm not talking like, you know, like pictures of Hulk Hogan. I'm talking autographed headshots of Andre the Giant and Ric Flair robes. Like, it's pretty intense. And in it, he finds this magical mask that gives him the power to become like a Rock, like a Dwayne Johnson level promo.
Wait.
Like fire spitting. Like
wait.
I'm not even joking.
Wait, no. Hold up. Is this just Like Mike?
I don't know what Like Mike is.
Oh, dude. Okay, so pause for a moment. So Like Mike was a movie back in the day starring Little Bow Wow, Jonathan Lipnicki, and oh my god, I can't remember the other guy's name. But anyway, pretty much he finds these shoes that used to be Michael Jordan's, and he finds him like hanging up on like on some power line or whatever, and he gets electrocuted like while trying to get them. And then every time he puts on the shoes, he has the power to play like Michael Jordan. So that's why it's called Like Mike. And he ends up getting drafted to the NBA.
Yeah, that's pretty much this movie.
Yeah, okay, got it, cool. Now, keep going.
Yeah, so he gets this mask and he decides to... He overhears his dad's financial troubles. Like, you know, in his mind, his dad was doing 2 jobs, so he, like, could avoid talking to his kid about things. But then he overhears the dad talking to the grandma about how, like, he's going to lose the house. And like I said earlier... WWE NXT is offering enough money to the winner of this March Madness-like competition and a contract to get Leo and his family out of like the financial bind that they're in. So yeah, do you think this is the kind of movie that can handle, mother leaving family behind?
No. Kind of in the same way that Like Mike couldn't handle, a movie talking about adoption and the struggles of adoption in modern society. But yeah, they literally just made the same movie.
Yeah. Like, it's entertaining enough. And, here's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, if you have roots in WWE at any point of your life, like I have, and you have... I know,
right.
Like, you'll be able to watch this movie. Like, you will be able to hang on to it. There's enough, jabronis spilling, all that sort of nonsense. Like, they reference stuff from all eras of WWE. Like, especially, like, when you're, like, younger, like us. Like, we're still in the younger parts of our life, I would say. Well, not you. I am. No, I'm just kidding. I keep calling you old. I feel bad.
Look, I'm in 30 in 5 years. I'm getting old.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Right?
I didn't think about that. But sometimes it will be... sometimes it's funny because, like, the first thing is the grandma waking the kid up and she puts him in an ankle lock. And I'm like, oh, sweet, Kurt Angle. And she's like... No, Xavier Woods. And I'm like, what? Who's he? Like, anyway, it's beyond me.
Please.
Please.
No disrespect to Xavier Woods. He's great. I mean, he's got a PhD.
I know, but Kurt Angle.
I mean, yeah, Kurt Angle.
Yeah. The ankle lock is Kurt Angle's move. We are not disputing that.
No.
We are not disputing that. That's like saying that the spear belongs to Roman Reigns and not Edge.
Fair point.
Yeah, like, okay, don't question me.
I have a question, actually. Does at any point in the movie, does the kid shotgun 2 beers?
No.
Damn it.
No, they were pretty... there was a little bit of Stone Cold Steve Austin mentioning, but not a whole lot. So, like I said, clearly, like, you just saw the inspired conversation Eric and I had about wrestling that had to do with this movie. Like, that's a perfect example. This movie will make you feel like that. It will make you want to have conversations, relive, like, the wrestling glory, especially when they're starting to talk about, like, older wrestling. The problem is everything that happens outside of the ring is total bogus. Totally flat, totally cliche, predictable, everything. From his nerdy friends to the little girl that he has a crush on to the bullies, it's all a mess. But I think the biggest issue is the grandma-father dynamic. There is a great deal of time. Like, this is positioned to be a kid-centric WWE, a kid-centric introduction into the world of WWE, right? Like, totally romanticized and glossy exhibition of every kid's dream of, like, becoming a professional wrestler. There is a great deal of time spent with the father and the grandmother talking about how terrible, like, the dad is and how emotionally just scrambled their lives are and what they need to do. And it really, like, this is a movie that has a clear audience, right? And I was astounded by how often it seemed to steer away from that audience. That being said, like, I can't lie and say, like, even though, like, there were points that I enjoyed the WWE talk, like, I can also tell you with, like, a sheer amount of confidence that there is no way that would carry over for people who didn't know who these professional wrestlers are. This is not a movie to be sought out by people who are looking for something fun to watch. You know, like, unless you know the WWE and, like, lived in that world extensively for a bit of time, you will not enjoy this movie. And that being said, like, I also have to be sort of critical in terms of the WWE things, because, as I was saying earlier, it reminds me exactly what is wrong with the foundation of professional wrestling these days, in that, you know, like, concrete storytelling and interesting characters have been replaced by safe, family-friendly entertainment. And, you know, that's disappointing. Like, that's the point where I started, like, back in 2013, back when, like, it became, like, too noticeable that it was a family-friendly, even though, like, I've always watched wrestling, like, live in the PG era. Like, it was, like, I saw, like, the end of the Attitude Era when I was, like, 4, but then, like, there was a period of time I didn't watch wrestling. You know, there were still characters like CM Punk and who were, you know, shaking things up and making it feel, like, you know, lively and gritty. And then I remember there was an episode where Chris Jericho was just yelling at somebody about the scarf he was wearing. And I was like, all right, I'm done. And now, come to find out, like, this is obviously just a WWE problem, because from what I can tell, Chris Jericho is out kicking butt on, what is it, AEW?
AEW, yeah.
Yeah, like, and he's like a champion there, right?
He was. He no longer is. It's now,
okay. We don't need to get into
Sorry.
Wait, you say Dean Ambrose?
Yeah, well, John Moxley.
He left WWE too?
Oh, yeah, he's been on there for, like, since AEW started on TV.
Wow, I'm far behind on my
right.
modern wrestling.
Dialing back to the review.
But like I said, like, the movie has it has, like, this very hypnotizing, you know, WWE is your life, WWE is happiness, like, you know, and obviously, like, you know exactly where it's going. It's and, like, even though, like, I was getting along with the narrative for a while there, like, it came to a point where they were introducing beats, like dramatic beats, into the story, like at the 3/4 point, where I was just exhausted, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this too. I have to mention that because, like, I did not have the stamina for this, even though, like, I have a great deal of nostalgia towards this topic. Yeah, I think this was written by people who didn't understand who kids are and what they want, and they also didn't understand how to direct attention or direct the narrative towards an adult audience either. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Man,
what a mixed bag of a movie.
I know, it's like, because it is worthy of you know, it's fun watching, like, a little kid run around like a wrestling ring, especially with, like, quote unquote magical powers, you know, but, like, it's obviously ridiculous. But when they're trying to mash, you know, when they're trying to beat these two completely opposite story ideas into, like, one bowl, you know, like, the result is not pretty.